Thank you everybody for joining us today. My name is Mark.
And I'm Laurel.
And today we are showing the Quilter's combo. Very excited to talk about the Quilter's combo, right? I'm going to put this down. Laurel, when people are cutting, we know that there are so many issues. What issues do we all run into? And I know we all run into it. So those who are watching, we've all done this. What are some of the issues that we run into?
Yeah, I think one of the main ones is a lot of times when people are cutting, sometimes you're trying to get in there with the dull blades, you're trying to have like some white knuckles, you're getting your shoulder over it, trying to get that last cut, trying to get there. Sometimes people have veered off. I know I've done it before. Sometimes you nick yourself because you're just trying to cut and you veer off, or sometimes again you're trying to cut with a dull blade, you can nick yourself. So there's just a couple issues that you can run into when you're cutting.
That's right. And that's with the cutter. With the ruler slide. And as we want to cut, we either tend to want to walk up our ruler because we put so much pressure, Laurel, against the ruler's edge. As we get to the top of that ruler, it will also, move. So the ruler sliding, the cutter issues, there's just so many. And if you love cutting, these are some of the issues that would stop you from wanting to move forward in your hobby, right? No one wants to go off to no man's land. Nobody wants to go up and over the ruler and nick themselves. You'll be surprised, that is pretty common. Cutting the tip of your finger is something that I continue to hear over and over again. And so the Quilter's combo, if you know Grace Company, you know that we are innovative and we are problem solvers. And so the Quilter's combo solves all those with the three products. We have our ergonomic cutter, we have our 6.5 by 24.5 ruler, and our True Grips in that package. So before we get into the combo, why would anybody want to buy an ergonomic cutter?
Yeah, I think oftentimes when people start to look into that is because they're tired of dealing with what they have. Just because, like we said, some of the issues that you have, or sometimes it just gets expensive trying to get into it. And so kind of what we've done, as Mark pointed out, is we really actually, a little bit ago, we actually did a survey and we asked people, what are the issues you're running into, right? Which again is the ruler issues, the cutting issues, dull blade, right? All those issues. And we thought, hey, you know what? Why not solve those issues, right? Why continue to have to sit there and cut with a dull blade? Why continue to have your ruler slide off? So with that, we actually came up with some of these great products that actually solve those issues, and it's fantastic.
That's right. So let's look at the Comfort Cutter right now. This, Laurel, we know is the best ergonomic cutter on the market. It is designed to eliminate stress, fatigue, pretty much your whole arm. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Like from your fingers up to your shoulder. You had mentioned earlier when you go to cut, you would want to get above the fabric, right, to get that pressure. When someone is using a straight cutter, what are some of the ways we hold the straight cutter?
Yeah, so I think one thing that people tend to naturally do is you go like this, and like I said earlier, you're trying to get up and over that so you can try and cut. You're trying to get there, trying to do it, and then you can see here you can get a white knuckle because you're trying to push down, get that pressure on there. Or one thing I've seen people do as well, sometimes they'll put their thumb here, again, getting that white knuckle if they're trying to go and cut.
That's right. And not only that, go ahead and put that back down there again, but also what happens with the wrist, right? When we want to get that blade towards the fabric, that wrist bends, and if you want to do your thumb up top, it's the same thing. So no matter what we're doing, we have either our fingers holding the cutter, we have that bent wrist, and we get above the fabric, so our shoulder. So literally from your fingers to your shoulder, that's where the fatigue and stress comes in. I'm going to show everybody this. This is what we designed. So we have our ergonomic My Comfort Cutter. And what we did was, as you can see, we moved the blade from facing out to down towards the fabric. What that does is now the pressure that when we use a cut comes from up above. We don't need to move our wrist to do so. We don't need to use our fingers to do so. The pressure comes right above the Comfort Cutter with the palm of your hand. And that is why this is the best ergonomic cutter, because you're using more of the palm with the fingers supporting the cutter. So I'm going to just put this down, and I'm going to show that as I go to hold this, okay, now I'm holding with my left hand here, but I'm putting pressure from the palm of my hand on top of the cutter, all right? And these other fingers are going to go support the cutter. So now when I let go, my hand is holding the cutter by the palm of my hand while these my fingers are supporting it. So I'm not getting the white knuckle, I'm not bending my wrist, I'm keeping it straight with the design of the cutter itself,
Yes.
which again eliminates all that stress and fatigue in the fingers.
Yeah, and I actually think one thing that's really good that he pointed out a couple times is that really the bottom fingers are just simply supporting or really kind of just help holding or gently laying that cutter in there. There's no need for you to try to grip it like he pointed out. It really is just nicely supporting the cutter in your hand.
That's right, which is also great for carpal tunnel,
Yes.
arthritis, maybe even ligaments taken out of your finger. Those, when that happens, that weakens our hand, and so it's hard to grab a cutter. I had a customer call in, and she had a ligament taken out of her thumb, and she couldn't use her cutter that she used for a long time, but because of that ligament that she had taken out, she couldn't use her cutter as much, and it was really sad for her. She enjoys, like we all do, right? You enjoy the piecing aspect. And when you piece, you want to have the right tools, you want to be able to keep going. But this individual, she couldn't keep going because of that ligament taken out. So I talked to her about our comfort cutter. And I even told her, with our comfort cutter, you actually don't need your thumb to cut,
At all.
right? You can actually have your thumb on the outside. We talked about earlier how our fingers support this cutter, but with it, I can move my thumb to the outside of the cutter, and that will keep it to where I can still use. So as I go to cut without my thumb, I can still put the pressure down and have my thumb sticking out. So I don't even need my thumb to hold the cutter. I can go ahead and make those cuts. That's what makes this cutter so universal, so great, the best ergonomic, because of the fact that I don't need, again, my fingers to support it. So again, with the comfort cutter, the palm of your hand is what's putting the pressure onto the blade. As you can see, the way it's facing down. And so with that, now when we go to cut, it's going to make it easier. And our entire Quilters combo, in fact, all of our TrueCut products, makes it easier, safer, and more accurate for you to cut. And let's look at how that comes to pass, right? So as we go to cut, again, my wrist is staying straight, and when I go ahead and move that forward, I'm getting the straight cuts. So with my wrist there, I'm not bending it, so it keeps it straight, which allows you to cut longer, allows you to finish more projects because that fatigue is not there. So we have the best ergonomic cutter based off the design and where the pressure comes from up top. And another customer, she loves her cutter, and she did not want to move away from her cutter. And she was a little skeptical because of the way it was designed, but she came back to me and she says that she absolutely loves using this cutter. It feels good in the hand, it's comfortable, and she actually started using this every single opportunity she got, and she didn't use her other one because she loved the cutter. When you do a quilt, you have to cut it, you have to piece it together, and if you don't have the right tools, when you're cutting your quilt, getting ready to piece it, well, that project can be maybe lasting for months down the road when it can just last just maybe a couple days or maybe in a week with the right tools. Other things about this cutter, right? It has a quick release. So changing out the blade is really simple. Laurel, tell us about quick release.
Yeah, so I think one thing that people find out as well, and sometimes why you don't change your blade out, is because you're like, oh, I gotta go through the whole process of unscrewing, putting the blade in, and being all careful about it. But one great thing that we've come out with is actually the quick release. So it's a really great thing that will just release everything at once. I'm gonna go ahead and do it here. You can see all of it at once, came out, no
Simple.
problem, very easy to do. And you can see too, it kept everything together, so I don't need to worry about, oh no, I lost, this one little piece and now I gotta get a whole new cutter, right? So that's one great thing about it, and it's just really a great thing. I'm gonna just put it back in here.
And if you're left-handed, you can easily make this into a left hand. Very, very simple. Just take the plastics out of the one side, same with the other side. Now we're gonna go ahead and move that to the back end. And move this one over. Okay. So now we have it to be left-handed. Now let's go ahead and put the blade back in by pressing that right back down on the blade. And so now the cutter is a right hand to a left hand. Very, very simple.
One thing that I love that I'll point out here is actually in this little section, you're able to pull this little plastic part off. And it's really great because sometimes if you take these when you go to a show or something, or you take it, go do some cutting with your friends, that this little tab can actually come off so you can put your name in there, put a picture of your dog, your grandkids, anything really in there to make it your own cutter.
That's right. So if you go to a quilt guild or you go to a quilt retreat, you have your own cutter that no one can walk off with. So that's a nice feature of the Comfort Cutter. Let's talk about our guide.
Yes.
The guide is very important because that eliminates what we talked about earlier, which is veering away from the ruler's edge or going up and over the ruler and nicking our finger or damaging our ruler. So all of our cutters are equipped with the guide. This guide interlocks with our ruler. It comes with a 6.5 by 24.5 ruler, and the ruler itself has a couple nice features to it. One important, what are the holes for?
Yeah, so the holes actually can be used for a couple different things. One of them is actually so you can kind of see through and see your fabric and mark. And as you can see here, there's a couple different markings. So that way, you know, you're not trying to make a mark and then shift your fabric over, try and make a straight line, you know, that's really not straight. And then another great thing as well is they actually, since they have the holes, you're able to actually kind of put your fingers through and actually just help give a little bit more stability and put your fingers on the fabric to help hold it.
Wonderful. So let's look at that. So what LJ is saying, so I can put my fingers right through these holes and hold it down in place. So that eliminates the ruler from sliding, right? As we go to cut, you can put your fingers through. You don't have to put a lot of pressure down, and it's great for marking. Let's go ahead and look at some of the marking. Let's mark some fabric as we go to cut. So as we cut, it's nice to be able to go forward and maybe if you want to cut 2 inches, we have a couple 2-inch strips we want to cut, we can have those all marked, we're ready to cut. These are 1/8-inch measurements, easy to read, they are not busy, so looking at the ruler is easy to line up your fabric, which makes this cutter or this system really nice as well. All right, so as I go to mark the fabric, you can go right through the holes. I'm just going to mark right through. Okay, so that would be my next mark. So as I go to cut, now I can go and mark it right onto that line and make another cut. So it's great for marking, lining up your next cuts as you go. But as you noticed when I was cutting, how straight was that and how easy was that?
Yes, it was great. I know, like how many of you have cut off, right? How many of you have veered off before? How many of you veered off that way, you know, and nicked yourself, right? Like I'm sure we've all done that. So this is great because it allows you to not do that and helps you, you know, sometimes I know people as well that have nicked themselves, they get really nervous and so they'll try to hold the ruler kind of a funky way, but this way it allows you to safely and easily do it.
That's right. So I'm going to show you the track on our ruler. The track on our ruler is a taller edge, and what that edge does is a couple things. One, it's safety, so you can see that edge, and the other, it allows our cutter that has that guide to interlock with that edge. So as I go ahead and put that on there, my blade stays against the ruler's edge the entire time. I don't need to make sure it does that. It's doing it itself, which means when I go to cut and I interlock that, you can see as I pull away from the ruler, my ruler is staying with the cutter. So my blade will always be against the ruler's edge. So let's go ahead and make that cut again as I interlock this ruler. And I go all the way up, you get the straight cuts.
There was this one lady that I was talking to once who, I know some of you probably don't enjoy the cutting process, but she did, and she loved to do that. But one thing that she always found is she actually ended up with quilts that were smaller than the original intended size, because when she was doing it, she tended to veer off, and so to correct that, you know, you go and make it a little bit smaller, veers off a little bit more, make it a little bit smaller again, and so she just found that she was doing that quite a bit, and I was like, you know what, I've got the perfect thing for you. And I showed her our great and amazing track system where you cannot veer off. And it seriously was a game changer for her. She went from doing smaller quilts to doing some of the biggest quilts that I have seen people make, because she's like, guess what? I can finally make the size quilts that I want to. And so it's really a great system. And so it gets you back to doing what you love most.
One thing I love to point out is where I'm holding the ruler, I'm not walking up the ruler, okay? The reason why that happened is the guide, I'm not pressing up against the ruler. As I press up against the ruler, that's what moves the ruler to the other side, which I have to then walk up the ruler and make sure it doesn't move, right? Hold it in place. But because my guide interlocks with this ruler, you're going to have those straight cuts. You're going to have an easier, safer, and you're going to be more accurate every single time. No more nicking your fingers. No more going off to no man's land, veering away. No more ruler sliding. It is truly the best cutting system. And what's nice is it's perfect. It's Quilter's combo. It's great for the new beginner. And I'm sure those who are watching, how many of you can think of someone right now who, oh, that would be great. I can get that for this person, right? There's a lot of us out there that can use a system like this. So as we go and use our system, now we eliminated the veering away. We eliminated going up and over the ruler, the stress in our hands. What else do we have that can keep our ruler from sliding?
Yeah, one of the great things that we have that I absolutely love is our True Grips. And they're fantastic. They come in a set of 15, so you have a bigger size and a smaller size. And one thing that I also think is fantastic about them is that they're clear. So it's great. So if you put them there, it's not going to obstruct your view when you're trying to cut or mark or anything. So it's really great. That allows you to hold your ruler in place, but also still be able to see.
So this is the pack of True Grips. Like LJ mentioned, they are large and small rings, and they're very easy to attach to the ruler. And what's nice about our rulers, it has some circles on the back for these to be applied on, but any flat spot. So again, if you own 5, 10, 15 rulers and you want to keep them from sliding, get these pack of True Grips. They go a long way and they can cover a lot of your ruler to keep from sliding. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add one of these. I'm going to take this off here. It looks like just like a little contact. So there we go. Okay. Just like LJ said, these are clear adhesive. They will not take the view away. And that's what we hear a lot when someone's holding the ruler in place. There's other things out there that can help manage that, but they do take away the view. They do take away the measurements or what you're trying to see. Where these are clear, that will not happen. So we can go ahead and we can put them on the back of the ruler, just like so. And this one already has it all the way down on the 3x18. I'm going to show the biggest difference. So 3x18, LJ, go ahead and move that around.
See if I can move it here. You can see I'm moving the whole table and it's still not moving.
That's right. Let's get some fabric underneath it. Be the same. Go ahead.
You can see. I'm not going to move it.
Yep. Stays right in spot. Now let's get the ruler that doesn't have any on.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I definitely would veer off that way.
Very easy. So from start to finish, LJ, we talked about many different issues that can come from cutting, from veering away, from nicking your fingers, damaging your ruler, ruler sliding, pain in the shoulder. The list goes on and on about what we're dealing with as quilters. Now with this cutting system, it's easy, it is safe, it is more accurate. The other nice thing about this system are the rulers as well being injected.
Yes.
Right? Very sturdy. So we look at the holes. It doesn't take away the sturdiness of the ruler. It is very strong. So we can actually, and this isn't, nobody's going to do this, but you can see how flexible the rulers are, and they're very, very strong. Why is having a strong ruler important?
I think it's super important because as much as you try to keep, your area safe and tidy, but sometimes maybe you leave something out, or a grandkid comes in, or a dog or a cat, or anything comes in, it can knock it off, or sometimes, it just, a lot of times it can happen where it just breaks, but this way with it, it's fantastic that it doesn't break. And really, you could do a lot with this. It takes a lot to break this, so it's fantastic that we have that built in there.
That's right. So LJ, the Quilter's combo is one that we love. When we go to shows and we're showing this, the customer's eyes lit up because they're like, oh my gosh, I can finally cut straight. In fact, they don't even know what to do with themselves because they're so used to cutting crooked that they are like, I'm finally going to be able to cut straight. Yeah. And for those who have arthritis or carpal tunnel or other ailing elements on their hand or their arm, this is the best system for you. As you're watching this, I know you're thinking about some of the projects you have coming up and you have to do more cutting, but yet the cutter I have isn't the best, right? The ruler isn't the best, and we all have a lot of rulers that we love, but I promise and guarantee, and I know that's pretty big, but I've had a lot of the customers come back and tell me how fantastic this system is and that they can continue to cut over and over again. Some of these customers, they had to stop cutting, and this is a hobby they love, and they have to stop cutting because of the tools they have. You pick up the Quilters combo, you're gonna be able to cut longer. It's gonna be easier, it's gonna be safer, it's gonna be more accurate, and you're gonna be happy. You're gonna have smiles on your face. We enjoy quilting, so enjoy cutting as we use the Quilters combo.
Yes, and there actually, one time I had a customer, a very sweet lady that called in. It was kind of as Mark had pointed out, that she actually loved quilting, but she unfortunately wasn't able to do the cutting. So sometimes she'd have one of her grandkids come over that have to do it, but even then, right, they don't want to come do it as often as you want to, right? So actually with this system, was able to do cutting, and she sends me some cute little photos every now and then of the new projects that she's done, because she's just finally been able to cut again with this system.
That's great. You know, TrueCut, we have the quilters in mind. We love what we do, and so we want you to enjoy what you do as well. The Quilters combo will allow you to enjoy it. Again, think of what we talked about earlier with what you're going through as you're cutting, okay? We can't hide from it, okay? It is there, we can't hide from it. So think about those, and think about how this system can prevent that going forward with all of your quilting needs. Very exciting. Thank you, Laurel. That was fun to have this project, or this product that we're talking about, this system. And remember, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and
check out our YouTube channel. We have some great informational videos out there that talk about these products, and they can kind of take you through step by step.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.